One of the great things in great cities around the world are these kind of shared garden spaces, and this is a great example.
The Mount Vernon Place Conservancy was formed by a group of engaged citizens here in the Mount Vernon area who realized that the Washington Monument and the squares of Mount Vernon Place were not really achieving their potential. Mount Vernon Place has the opportunity to be a world-class destination, and it really wasn't that in 2008 when we started.
These spaces can't be replicated in the city again. It's definitely cherished, but not put on a shelf somewhere and not used. It is a real park that's well used and well loved by the community that surrounds it.
The cornerstone of the Washington Monument was laid here in Mount Vernon Place in 1815. So as we were putting the master plan together in 2010, there was some urgency. We knew that in the future, in 2015, there would be the bicentennial of the Washington Monument, and we also knew that in 2017, there would be the centennial of the design of the squares by Carrere and Hastings. The monument's 200 years old. We have thankfully restored that for the future.
The completion of the Washington Monument has really demonstrated the high level of workmanship that the Conservancy is committed to, and I think proves the concept of what a well-planned and well-executed restoration plan can do for the larger Mount Vernon Place.
We were incredibly pleased and honored that the monument restoration received 14 restoration awards, which is pretty an unprecedented number.
The master plan considered a lot of the different designs that had happened on site, and Carrere and Hastings was really the one that was deemed of historical significance. The master plan wanted to honor that vision, but at the same time give it resilience so that it could withstand the next 50, 100 years, particularly by updating all the infrastructure.
And it really highlights how much work there is in the squares to do to bring them up to the same level, and that's the goal.
An important aspect about Mount Vernon Place is it has excellent structure, excellent bones, and we really need to try to revitalize it and make it the best version of itself.
The squares are really showing their age and that they are 100 years old. It's time for us to move on with restoring the squares for the future.
It's really exciting that the next phase of the restoration will involve the two parks along Charles Street.
You're going up what is, a main thoroughfare in the city of Baltimore, and all of a sudden you just kind of open up onto this really grand space. It's really a jewel.
I really enjoy the South Square because it has the opportunity to see. You just lean over that balustrade and look at the fountain, look at the planting beyond, and then look at the city beyond as well. It's a wonderful moment, and I think a testament to the quality of the design of Carrere and Hastings.
One of the aspects that really excites us about making public spaces, especially in Mount Vernon Place, is the proximity of the Walters, the Peabody, and how they as institutions can see this as their front yard, their front garden.
Most of us live in our urban townhomes, and we don't have green spaces of our own. So to have a space like this that's so connected to all of us, that's right in the center of our community, is really important.
One of the challenges with working with historical sites is that these are places that are very loved. People are very attached to them. They've known them through time.
Our next step really in the restoration of the North and South Squares is we will be going back for an additional level of approval. We now have much more detailed plans of what that will look like. The water supplies, the electrical supplies, the soils, they can't perform. And if this place is going to thrive into the future, we just know that that's where the work has got to be. When we do that work, no one will ever see that except that they'll see that what's above ground is actually looking good for the first time.
We hope that when people arrive and see this well-maintained park and all the architecture coming together, they're sort of stopped in their tracks and are beckoned to have a seat on a bench or just sit down on the lawn and take a break from their day and enjoy a bit of nature in the city. I hope what we'll see when these projects are completed is a reinvigoration of all the activities that happen in the park, whether it's these organize events like Flower Mart and festivals like that, or just sort of the regular everyday activity of going into the park and having your lunch, or just sitting in the shade and having a little bit of quiet time, I think that those sort of positive uses within the park will be enhanced dramatically when all this work is complete.
Baltimore City is a city of monuments. We were called the Monumental City. And so it's really important that we have nonprofit groups like the Conservancy step forward and preserve these monuments for the future.